Let's see if the Bilt Hard will go through this round that the Wen 6.5 ton splitter could not go through. Well, in today's video, we're going to be putting this Bilt Hard 6.5 ton electric log splitter through its paces. We're going to give it a good splitting test and see what it can do with these large chunks of oak. Now, I've already made 2 previous videos about this unit. Video number 1 was an unboxing and assembly video. Video number 2 was about the modifications that I've added to this unit. As you can see, we have a nice big steel splitting table that I added, and also a little shelf on the operator's side just to help prevent pieces from falling on the ground. And I also added a custom trailer hitch to allow me to tow this log splitter behind my lawnmower. The problem with these smaller electric log splitters is when you try and move them around by hand on unpaved surfaces, grassy surfaces, the wheels are so small and it's somewhat heavy, it's just so awkward. So by adding a trailer hitch, we pretty much eliminated that issue. Now, what am I going to be testing this unit out with? These big quarters of oak. To give you an idea, this is about 16 by 16 quarters. Now, the original rounds were about 32 inches in diameter, but I took my chainsaw, ripped them up into quarters. That way it was a little bit more manageable and easier on my homemade winch crane here. And that's a good little tip for you guys too. If you ever have some big rounds that are too large for your electric log splitter, just take your chainsaw, as long as you got a 20-inch bar, just rip them in half, and that makes it a lot easier to move those pieces around. So without further ado, let's start putting some of these big rounds on the table and see what this unit can do. And I should also mention that I'm sure the manufacturer does not recommend rounds this large for this splitter. It's probably in the specifications, you know, this unit can only go up to maybe 12 inches in diameter rounds, but I mean, 12 inches in diameter really is no problem for this unit. But when you start getting into these big chunks, you're really going to see what this unit can do or not do. So another note about these electric log splitters, sometimes they will not go through the piece, and you can detect that because obviously there's no forward progress, but you also can hear the strain on the motor. Now, you're probably going to see that happen, and if it does happen, just shut off the motor, release the hydraulic control lever, let the unit retract, and then try taking another bite of the wood at a different point. Now, normally with a large piece like this, I would start on the edges, but because we want to give this thing a real good test, let's go right through the center and see what happens here. I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed. I didn't think it'd go right through that. That's pretty darn impressive. I mean, this is pretty fresh oak. It's pretty wet, very heavy. You can see how stringy this stuff is. It really went through that pretty effortlessly. You can see how much I'm struggling to move that around. I mean, this piece I have right here, this is probably about 50 pounds by itself. No problem. And this little lever right here, this controls how far the ram retracts back, so you may see me adjust this. The idea behind that is if you're working on a 16-inch piece, you can set the ram to retract back to 17 inches, so you're only waiting a half a second before the ram engages with the piece of wood you're trying to split. Very impressive. Of course, this isn't really knotty, this is pretty straight grain wood, so I'll have to see if I have anything a little bit more knotty in the cart. See how nice that splitting table is? And something else that may affect your results is if you don't have an adequate outlet. Now, this unit has, I believe, a 15 amp motor, so really what you want is a 20 amp dedicated circuit with a nice heavy gauge extension cord, because that extension cord, you will experience a little bit of amperage drop. That's another little trick you can do there too. You have 2 pieces that will still engage with the ram. You can lay them on top of one another. As opposed to splitting one piece, you can split 4 pieces all at the same time. And I like to keep this splitter close to my stack. That way, as I unload it from the trailer and split it, I can just immediately stack it. Trying to be as efficient as possible. The more you handle the wood, the less efficient the whole process becomes. All right, another big test. Let's see what this unit can do. Very little strain on the motor. Very impressed. So when I split a big chunk like this, I'll normally stand one chunk up on the table. I'll work on the other piece. Got through that first split. I'm sure it can get through the second split, no problem. Gonna reset this bar. No problem. Wow. All right, this piece looks like it's a little bit larger. A little over 20 inches wide. Probably still close to 16 high. Yeah, so we're about 16 high, so 20 by 16. Let's see how it does with this piece. I'm trying to give it the most difficult split, which I think would be right about here, so let's see what happens. Very impressive. Very impressive. Almost no problem whatsoever. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to utilize my crane and lift up this other chunk, swing it out of the way, and then we'll work on this chunk. Break it off. Swing this piece safely off to the side. We'll keep working on this piece. Of course, now we're going to have no problems getting through this the rest of the way. Set my backstop a little closer so I save energy and time. So that last big chunk that we split, the widest portion of that chunk was positioned horizontally. Well, now I have it positioned vertically. Now total height here is just under 20 inches. And width, we're looking at about a foot. So, let's see if it'll go through this monster chunk. Well, I must say it didn't split as I intended, but nonetheless, it got through the first chunk. I'm gonna have to use my crane a little bit here to get me out of this pickle. So let's try again right here and see what happens. Oh, I'd say it's definitely defeating this big chunk so far. Normally I carry a little hatchet because when I get a stringy piece that's kind of held onto the main round, just take my little hatchet and chop through this mess. I don't have it out here with me. Might have to go get it. But that's something you may run into. Try going this way now. I'm sure it'll go right through it. And there we are. I gotta tell you, I'm pretty darn impressed with this thing thus far. There hasn't been anything that I put on this table that this unit has not been able to split through as of yet. I really want to find something really knotty and nasty, but you know, now that I think of it, a little bit further down the log stack here, I have a round that is really knotty. In fact, I have another electric log splitter. It's a Wen 6.5 ton unit. The Wen could not get through that round, so I ended up throwing it off the splitting table and left it there. with the intention of ripping it up with the chainsaw. I never got around to ripping it up. So let's drive the trailer a little bit further down the log stack here. Let's pick that up, bring it back to the Bilt Hard, see if the Bilt Hard will go through that really knotty round. And here's that round we're going to pick up in a moment here. But as you can see, I tried with the Wen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 tries with the Wen, and it was not able to split through this piece. Now it's not really large in diameter. Maybe it's 12 inches this way, 16 inches this way. But I tell you, where two trees kind of split off the same stem. So let's go get the crane over here, pick this up, throw it on the Bilt Hard, and see if it'll do it. Let's see if the Bilt Hard will go through this round that the Wen 6.5 ton splitter could not go through. No way. I was not expecting that. Wow. I thought this unit was totally going to struggle, but it did not. Wow. What did it take the Wen? 16 tries to get through this? Bilt Hard on the first shot went right through it. Let's go again here. No problem. Wow. And we got some knotty stuff I'd like to try and split. Let me flip this around. Again, you can see this is the flat part. I did not cut this. This is where it split off a main trunk. Two big chunks of tree grew off of this. Let's try right here, see what it'll do. All right. Could not go through it that time. I mean, at the end of the day, this isn't a 27 ton splitter. This is only a 6.5 ton, but for it to be able to get through this when the Wen failed 16 times is still impressive nonetheless. Let's try again. See, I moved over a little bit. See what happens. Again, we struggled a little bit there. We didn't get through it. So when that happens, all I do is just rotate the piece around 360 degrees, or maybe try on an edge. Like I can see the Wen tried right here, so let's try in that same spot, see if it'll do it. See, that's what you got to be aware of. When this unit starts to struggle, you got to know to stop because you'll burn out the motor. You don't want to do that. So again, we're struggling a little bit here. So I'm going to move the wedge over a little bit. Try again. Nope, still won't go through it. We'll keep trying. There we go. Moral of the story, sometimes you just got to keep rotating the piece, trying different angles. You'd be surprised what these little 6.5 ton electric splitters, especially the Bilt Hard, will go through. Again, at this point, it would be very helpful to have a little hatchet to break this piece up. There we go. Now we're making good progress. Beautiful, look at that. Alright, so what are my final thoughts on the Bilt Hard 6.5 ton electric log splitter? I tell you, I'm pretty impressed. First I'll say, when I first assembled this unit, the motor and hydraulic components were pretty loud. I think they just needed to break in a little bit, but now after splitting through, I don't know, a fifth a cord of wood, everything's quieted down. It's as quiet as you expect an electric log splitter to be. You don't have to wear hearing protection. It's just nice to hear what's going on around you. So that's definitely one of the nice things about electric log splitters. Aside from that, the modifications I've done to this unit definitely make it much easier and efficient to operate. If you don't do a modification where you add at least a table, you're going to find yourself being somewhat miserable with this unit. Either you're going to have it on the ground if you don't buy the stand kit, or if you have it up on the stand, you know, the little guide rails that they include with the unit, you're going to find that pieces just constantly fall out of the splitting tray here, and not going to be that much fun. So definitely adding a table will totally improve your experience. Now, is this unit, this Bilt Hard log splitter, more powerful than the Wen? According to my test, I would say absolutely. We picked up that large knotty round of wood, and again, the Wen tried to split it 16 or 17 times and was not able. On the first try with the Bilt Hard, powered right through it. Now, I will say that this is no 27 ton or 30 ton log splitter, and we found that out because when we were trying to split through that really knotty round at some different angles, we found that the motor stalled twice, I believe twice on that large round. But with some working of that round, repositioning it, turning it around, going at it from a different angle, we were able to split through that knotty round completely. So in my opinion, this is definitely more powerful than the Wen splitter, and overall, I just think this is a better log splitter in terms of stability and power. There's a cross member on the bottom, so there's really like 4 points of contact with this Bilt Hard unit. It's a lot more stable than the Wen, as where with the Wen you have the wheels and then you just have one post that goes on the ground. There's like a T-bar on the ground for this. So I definitely say this is a better unit than the Wen. Anyway, that's going to conclude today's video. Thanks for watching. As always, I will catch you on the next one.